Welcome to the Paula Price Show, where you can experience scripturally organic, culturally unmodified teaching, get answers to your questions, and receive powerful prayer from your host, Dr. Paula Price, author of the Prophet's Dictionary. Tune in now and get ready for an exciting time of encouragement and transformation. Welcome your host, Dr. Paula Price.
Hey family, welcome to a very special edition of the Jesus and Paula Show. As you can see, we are not on our regular set because today, actually, Dr. Price is at the National Day of Prayer event here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, ministering with other preachers and pastors and leaders around in the city who have been invited to pray for various issues concerning our country, our city, and the world at large. So we wanted to make sure you had something to tune into today and provided a special edition of the Jesus and Paula Show. What are we going to show you today? Firstly, you're going to see a promo about the Tulsa Prophetic Training Institute and also information for how to join us on Sundays at the Congregation of the Mighty, where God stands, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in our brandy new facility, the Embassy. And then we're going to take you, because we told you last week, I believe it was, we were having some technical issues, that we were going to show you the clip of the Newsmax interview that Dr. Price had several weeks ago. And after that, you're going to watch a very special broadcast. Now, this is a lesson that Dr. Price did several years ago concerning healing the soul of a nation. When a nation's soul is broken, what do you do? At that time, she was participating in the John Hope Franklin Reconciliation Symposium. And there are some things that she said in there that are very key. I mean, it's Dr. Price, right? So everything is kind of key about the reconciliation issue, where our country is headed, what we can do. And so that's going to be our special edition today, which is very timely for the National Day of Prayer. We have a lot to pray about. Now, we know by no means are we saying that prayer is all you have to do. I mean, we're not those people. But I tell you what, if you don't take it in prayer first, it's not going to happen in the flesh. And so as this is the National Day of Prayer, make sure that you have dedicated time to pray for our country, for your city, for your ministry, for your family, and whatever else the Lord leads you to do. So without further ado, welcome to this very special edition of the Jesus and Paula Show.
One U.S. lawmaker is railing against cancel culture. In fact, in an opinion piece for the Washington Post, South Carolina Senator Tim Scott wrote this headline: "Let's set the record straight on woke supremacy and racism." And there it is. In the piece, Senator Scott, the GOP's only black senator, pushed back against criticism that his party is using him as a prop because he's black. Joining us now to discuss is Dr. Paula A. Price. She's a pastor, community activist, and author of this book that's on your screen here, The Prophet's Dictionary, and the founder of Price University. So great to have Dr. Paula Price on the show today. Good to see you. Thanks for your time.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Absolutely. I want to talk to you about this one here. Senator Scott writing this op-ed that we showed the viewers after being criticized by the Washington Post for saying that woke supremacy is as bad as white supremacy. Just a piece of the article here. He says this. The senator says, "I spoke out because I am gravely concerned for our future if we ignore either type of supremacy, both of which are rooted in racism or discrimination." You say Senator Scott is right about woke supremacy. Dr. Paula, explain that to me.
Well, I think he's right. It's hard to be an American, no matter what color you are, and not have to bump into the word supremacy all the time. Very difficult to do that. We can't ignore the fact that our nation had its racial foundations, but that doesn't mean that we cannot be honest about where we came from and frank about where we're going.
He uses this term, woke supremacy. You don't have to explain what he meant, obviously, but what do you think woke supremacy means? How can we break this down for those that are watching right now?
Woke supremacy started with black musicians. It came out of a song from Erykah Badu talking about now she's woke. And the whole idea is that we as a people need to wake up to what's going on around us, our options, our opportunities, and our responsibilities.
So the whole topic of cancel culture comes up with this as well, and there are so many examples that you could list of just about everything being canceled if you can find some root with it being labeled to racism. It seems as if you find this, if you have a bucket and it's labeled racism, and you put anything or anyone in it, including Aunt Jemima and all kinds of different other things, we're canceling syrups. Just about everything gets canceled here. How do you fight back against this, the culture war, or is it already won?
Well, it looks like it's won, and when things are so well orchestrated, they look as if they have the upper hand. One of the things that I realize about this cancel culture is that the canceling is not really what we think it is. There's a passage in Psalm 113 that says, "If the foundations are removed, what can the righteous accomplish?" And that's what I see cancel culture is being about, removing foundations that got us here, but also removing foundations that represent our safeguards, regardless of our skin. My prayer is that we'll get to, as a company, we'll be able to get out of our skin and get into the real us, what makes us Americans, and get into the real truth. But right now, we are skin conscious and we lead with our skin, which will always cause division.
And, we're showing that video there, and I think about, because you forget it happens so often now, 6 Dr. Seuss books being canceled. You're thinking about, things that Ellen DeGeneres had said, on her show, or things that she's done with her employees and her staff, and the backlash she's faced as well. And then also you think about the Washington Redskins, now just the Washington football team. It just seems like this whole cancel culture cyclone, if you will, you would really call it a carousel, because it just keeps going and going and going, and you wonder where it will stop. I'm curious to know, as a pastor, how does, of biblical proportions, how does the Bible read into this? How does Christianity read into this intolerant behavior that we've seen?
Well, if I were going to go with the Bible and then plug it into our country, and I have to say that if we were founded on biblical principles, we were founded on Christianity. I know they keep trying to tell us that we're not, but if you think about it, they're not converting us from anything else but Christianity. If I had to think about it, then it is a large-scale takeover. They call it cancel, or they call it progressive, but actually it's a backstep to what Jesus destroyed on the cross. It's actually a backstep. I mean, think about it. Ellen DeGeneres, all of the issues that they have, they're all backstep to old way. And that's what I've been saying. I've been on several interviews talking about the whole idea that we're moving forward, but this isn't forward. These are not the things that got us where we are. This is backwards, and these are all destructive things. If you look at what they're talking about, at the heart of it, at the root, it's let's destroy light, let's destroy safety, let's destroy uniformity, let's destroy anything, harmony. And so what they're trying to destroy is what made us who we are today as a nation. Problems aside, we still made a lot of good things happen, and those things are being canceled.
I know you're the author of your book there, The Prophet's Dictionary, I believe it's called. Yes. What does the future look like when we're talking about that? I mean, what does the future look like in the cancel culture that we live in? Does this continue on? Is there an end to it? Is this only temporary? Give me a little insight. What do you think?
It will continue for a little bit. Most of all, I think it's a wake-up call. And I say that to be very frank with you, because things like this happen when we lapse into smugness, when we think that we've got it all together, we've done everything we need to do, we think we've built it all up. We lapse into smugness. It gives power to those who want to replace us or unseat us. Well, if that's the truth, then we can go on to say that they will lapse into their own smugness as well. So as far as God's concerned, he told me it's not over. That this all happened to make us want to fight for America. That's something that we had forgotten. Our next generations, going back, let's say the next 3-4 generations, we just wanted them to enjoy America. Now we have to fight for it.
All right. I'll leave it right there. Dr. Paula A. Price joining us live here on National Report. Dr. Paula, good to see you. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
I want to thank you, Amy. We just met, and so I thank you for that introduction. I want to talk about healing the soul of a nation, because we've done a lot of things. We've talked a lot about, the problem. We've got some things that we do historically, we do traditionally, and we also do them reflexively. In other words, we just keep going back to the same thing. But I want to talk about healing the soul of a nation, because without a healthy soul, no matter what you think, what you feel about life, it is certainly not going to go easy. So I want to thank you for listening, and just give you, I want to give a kickoff thought. Again, the whole idea of today is thinking differently and reacting effectively. Thinking differently and reacting effectively. That's really fundamental what we're doing. So I want to, I'm known for giving kind of really bold statements. So I'm going to start with one. The first one is, I want you to walk away with this. I'm going to give you all of the takeaways and the walkaways so you'll know what to do. Focusing on race keeps you out of the race. Okay? Because it's a tactic. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that tactic of elimination. Because, when you emotionalize something, you become you can be easily eliminated, because your emotions will cause you to quit, where your wisdom will cause you to fight. All right. So my subject is healing the soul of a nation, and you do it person by person. So I thank you. Here's where I want to start. Think about this. How many times have we heard the spirit of a land, the spirit of a people? How about the spirit of a boat, the spirit of a car? So we talk a lot about the spirit of things, because that spirit is energy, that spirit is life, and we think that spirit enables or fosters unity. And that's not entirely wrong. What we do have to think about is that we hardly ever talk about the soul, and that particular part of our makeup has control of us. So I want you to think about this, because healing the soul, we must have our soul restored. And we're going to talk about why our soul is in trouble. We're going to look at that. So you can see that. And I'm a soulologist, not a psychologist. I'm a soulologist. So what is that? I format souls for prosperity. Because everything about your life, past, present, future, is in your soul or passes through your soul. And it's your soul perspective and outlet that determines whether or not you see life differently. We're going to look at that. So I am a soul I take your life from distress to success. Because a distressed soul is not going to thrive, is not going to prosper. And we need to know what that looks like. We need to know what it sounds like. Just a little bit about me. I am the author of, 60 books. I have a best-selling book, The Prophet's Dictionary, that sells 100,000 copies, over 100,000 copies sold, sells in 3 nations around the world. And so that's why I can work this soul thing. But I'm also the author of 3D. It's a program, and you can order it at my book table, but it is a program, and it literally walks the soul through the 3 Ds of failure and strongholds and success. And we've had success with it. So if you want to find out how effective it is and you don't want me to toot my own horn, we have our therapist over there. Hold up your hand. She can tell you she uses it, so you can talk to her about how effective that book is. I'm also the founder of Paula Price Success Center because, again, my emphasis is the soul, SOS, soul of success. You know, many people are stuck because their soul is in trouble. Yeah. They have a heart, they have a passion, they have a love. They even have a will. Soul's in trouble. So, this is my emphasis. You can write it, snap your pictures, or whatever it is they allow us to do here. The theme of this particular event is civic engagement, reconciliation, and democracy survival. Isn't that powerful? So we're going to talk about civic engagement. And I put those up there to keep with the purpose. And so we're going to go into X-ray. Civic engagement, reconciliation. We're going to X-ray the obstacles and barriers. And you might be surprised about what they really are. Because sometimes we can get so accustomed to the same diagnoses, the same rhetoric, the same discussions and dialogues, we put ourselves in a box. We don't allow ourselves to get a box. So I want to talk about civic engagements, reconciliation, and how it's designed to attain for our attainment, so that this particular thing will disclose for you subconsciously concealed impedance. There are subconscious impedance that are built into us. First of all, it's built into us as people. I like it when philosophers say we've seen the enemy, he's us. We like to point outside because it's painful to think that we're responsible. And until we own our responsibility, we will never be free. We have to. Because anybody who lives as a victim will never be a victor. So if you live your life as a victim, you will always lock yourself out of being a victor. Now, we're going to X-ray the soul. I'm going to give you, this is a snapshot that, I only have a few minutes. I have to rush you all through a program that takes about 6 months. So you're going to get, an overview, a scope of 6 months of a program that's meant to move your soul from distress to success. Think about it. These are the elements of your soul. Oh, sorry, went too far. The elements, these are what we must address. We must touch and transform. Number one, your thoughts, and how they come from your heart, your optics, how you view life. We always view life as a victim. We're waiting for the next person to beat us, club us, rob us, cheat us, hurt us. Because that's conditioning. We must alter the conditioning if you want to transform the condition. We can't keep doing the same thing. So thoughts, how you see things, the utilities. Your soul is a utility. It is how things get from the invisible to the physical world. You don't see your soul, but it's your utility. So what did you put it in? What are you tying into? And governance. What governs you? Anger, rage, hope, help, fear, doubt, unbelief. You have to tap into that. I told you this is like a 6-month program, and it's a walkthrough because it takes a long time to change your soul. You can change your mind in 30 seconds, but the soul will revert it back to what it was in less than that time. The first incident is going to take it backwards. So I want you to see we have 3 takeaways. 3 takeaways that I want you to understand so you can see the shift. Takeaway number 1, civic engagement demands can appeal trivializing. I know. See, when you are supposed to be a game changer, then you need to change the game and the language. Because when you keep speaking the same language, people numb out because they think they know what you're going to say. In anticipating what you're going to say next, they go to sleep. Their brains go up. But it can appear trivializing. Reconciliation needs ambassadors, not just activists.
Right. Okay.
The core of reconciliation is diplomacy. Not destruction. Not disruption. Diplomacy. And then democracy requires justice and not just dogma. So those are your 3 takeaways. Civic engagement, reconciliation, and democracy. Okay, what are you taking back to your world? Train me to free me. In all sectors of society, this phrase has taken hold. You shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free. So souls require truth to be free. AA, 12-step, you name it, everybody has to come to a place of truth. As a people, we must come to the truth. The truth about who we are and where we are. Time won't permit me in this discussion to cover those truths, but that's something for you to consider if you decide to reach out to our Success Center. Teach my soul to succeed. The most binding prohibitor of your soul success is, you're going to be surprised, table talk, stoop talk. Because no matter what we learn in school, no matter what we learn and what our jobs teach us, it's table talk. What did we feel when we saw daddy crying about losing his job or brother unfairly arrested? What psychological, what mental vow did we make? We have to deal with table talk vows. We've got to deal with stoop talk vows. Because it's those vows that become silent authorizers. And silent, I want to say silent engineers, because you're soul engineers. Silent engineers of your decision making, of your reactions. They literally fuel your emotions to frame your thoughts. And so there is a wisdom that we all run on. And table talk is that first wisdom. Stoop talk is the second. I was raised in Newark, New Jersey. We did a lot of stoop talk. My family was in the riots in the 60s, and we had more stoop talk. And no matter what, couldn't keep a job, couldn't get along, couldn't. Why? Because while I lived, and when you're in panic is when you form heart rules. Yeah. Panic writes heart rules. Okay, we need to mete out justice and not just pour out dogma. And we need to differentiate that. We need that because the dogma and the justice have got to be cousins. And if they're not, then one is trying to trick us so that the other one can trip us. Okay? And then lastly, solutionize, not just theorize. We are fond of sitting around a table, having wonderful talks as preachers, because we do most things in the church because the church is the center of our gathering place. And so we're fond of talking, but you rarely hear conversations that say, this is what we're dealing with, this is how we're showing up, this is the cost or effect, and these are some steps. Mm-hmm. We always go home before the steps. You don't take the steps home. Can we take on the steps? So what we want to do is train, teach, meet, and solutionize. You have to recognize your soul is an intelligent part of you. And it is the part of you that processes all of the intelligence that tells your mind what to command your body to do. And if we formatted it wrong, we talk about formative years. Formative means formatted. So if it's formatted, or to hide you from stress, to hide you from failure, to hide you from embarrassment, which is a big thing with our folks. We can't deal with embarrassment. See, but the warrior must be able to suck up embarrassment and defeat it.
Yeah.
See, you got to be able to do that. Because the people at the top, but when there's a place at the top that doesn't care about what your color is.
Come on. Okay.
But see, down here, you're eliminated. Race eliminates you.
Come on.
Because you have that stay-home-itis. You're not stay-home-itis. I ain't going because. So my objective, my proposal is that for national soul restoration, treat me, teach me, free me. Treat me, teach me, free me. The worst thing to do is to give somebody a treatment or a therapy and don't teach them how to assimilate it in their lives. We skip assimilation. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
And then we wonder why you keep falling back. I mean, come on, I spent 13 hours telling you what was wrong with you. I don't understand. But we need to teach people how to live free. I always, coming up in the era I came up, we black this and black that was just coming. We met the black, introduced black Muslims on the corner with the little bow tie and the paper and bean pie. We had that. We had the fight. We had that power to the people who didn't know what power meant. Okay? And then we had the coming out of that age of the Jim Crow era where, hey y'all, you're free, so go be free. And you know what? They slung billions of dollars at us that we didn't know what to do with because we were conditioned to fail. And nobody dealt with our failure formatting.
Yeah.
Even today, and that's why we still keep doing the same thing. Moving on, so I don't want to waste time. Excuse me. So I'm introducing soul health to soul wealth, going from distress to success, inside out. If you don't train the inside, the outside is going to flop. You train your brain for your hands to work. We've got the cognitive, the affective, and psychomotor. You train yourself to go into motion, to deal with the motions of life. Right. But we don't. We don't know how to do that. That's why I know that we have to change it. We have been fired up enough by activists. They come in, they fly in from all over the country to wherever the latest thing is. They fire you up, pump that same fire, puff those billows. We go out, tear up our own stores, and our babies can't get milk.
Come on.
Isn't that what we do?
Yeah.
So, I had a phrase called introducing DIY, do-it-yourself soul therapy. You can take care of you. Because in the end, without your permissions, there will be no change. You must give your soul permission to break away from the pack, to break away from the herd, and then develop some sort of systemic program that will help you live away from the norm. It is normal to be bitter. You see, we have to look at our African-American norms.
Yes.
See, we've got norms that guarantee we are never in the game. We have those tap-out norms. You want to insult me? Ain't nobody going to insult me. Don't call me boy. Don't call me man. So the people who want you out the game, hit those buttons.
That's it.
They hit them because they don't want you in the game. And they are reliable. They've been reliable for 200 years. So they are genetically engineered even in our offspring, in our descendants. Table talk. Stoop talk. Soul truth and personal initiatives. Your soul is in your body and it's your possession, which makes it your responsibility. So we've got, I've done the research, upwards of $1 trillion is spent on soul health. Either research, treatment, meds, etc. And you know what? That same amount of money, that number is rising and it's escalating. And you know what it's doing? This is important for you to recognize. It only covers 3 things. anxiety, addiction. Isn't that something? Can you believe it? Anxiety, addiction, and literally your inferiorities. Because we've been told there's nothing superior about us.
Right.
So your mama told you, boy, don't act smart. Girl, don't do that. So I want people to think that. No, don't give the answers out. And as women, we get a double one. Don't be smart, because you know, man don't like you smart. So what does he want, dumb? So I have to be dumb because I can't figure that out. I'm lost on that one. Y'all pray for me though, okay? Hold me up in whatever y'all hold me up, because I'm telling you. But these are conditionings. And if we want to change the condition, we've got to go after the conditioning. And we've got to be honest about them. Truth serum. You know, when I teach this program, I said the soul requires truth serum. So you got to be honest. Was my dad's experience? Was this Uncle so-and-so's experience? Was this my mother's? Whose experience are you allowing to fuel your conditioning? Because experiences are passed on. So I was watching a program once, Campaigns to Take Over Nations. I watched a program once, and the head of a drug cartel made a statement that just, you know, it was mind-boggling. He said, when we want to take over a neighborhood, we break its soul.
Wow.
We break its soul. Now, did you ever think that all of this liberty we have, you know, the world will use liberty to enslave you.
That's right.
You're too free for rules, but success has rules. You know, you can't be successful without rules. And let me go on the record and say, success is not a racist. Success is an equal opportunity rewarder or punisher. Now, I need you all to hear me, because that's a powerful statement. I already gave you the first one. Focusing on race can keep you out of the race. Because the race is for success. And success has, I'm telling you, you go to every nation under the sun. So they have rules of success, and success rules are the same. You got to be there. You got to be smart. You've got to be better. You've got to be able to deflect opposition. You've got to have a comeback plan, because success requires you to have no social promotion. So you have to keep doing it till you get it right. So we need to stop saying that it's because of our color. I know, because I know how I grew up. I should not be here today. My story is amazing. And you know why? Because I never bought into the racial thing. I kept saying, if I'm smart enough, if I'm quick enough, if I'm determined enough, I'm going to beat them. And I did. And I need us to start pushing that down the generation line. Right. Success has no favorites. It's all right to say that.
Yes.
Because it has no, I know you say, well, you don't understand. I mean, you don't know what it is to be a brother. I got a brother doing 32 years. And you know what? He found out success has no favorites. He didn't want to do it free. So he's still being successful, bound. Because success has no favor. I want you to get that in your gut. Because if you can get that in your gut, you're going to have the first chip in that caste system that we put ourselves in. See, we created this caste system. So campaigns aim to destroy the soul of a people. So we keep our American spirit. We got our little flags. We do July 4th, Memorial Day, Labor Day. We do all of that. But we don't deal with our souls, which is in control between those events. Your soul was built to see to it that you prospered in the planet. Not in your race, in the planet. The planet owes everybody walking on it an opportunity to succeed. That's the planet. That's the natural law of creation. Now, we may not have the same obstacles. We may not have the same setbacks, but we all have the same soul constitution to overcome it. We all have it. And we need to start telling people, oh no, you got this. You can do this. Oh yeah, sure, easy. So destroying your soul is the goal. So we want to make sure that your soul becomes a deflector, a protector, and defender from the inside out. Okay, so let's look at some of the things that they use. Some of them you might appreciate. So let's look at some of the things that they use. National soul destroyers, nation soul destroyers, disunity, drugs, Rage. Ours is a big one, rage. Would we agree? We got to kill the spirit of rage. Can we say that? Yes. Because the rage is, one of the things you need to know about rage has two ways of working. Destructively or cunningly. I choose cunning. But cunning's more enduring. That's right. Isn't it? Okay. Lawlessness, riots, libertinism, social infidelity and anarchy. And what do we have? Individual or privatized citizenship. We've all been told our individual rights matter. But how many of you know individuality scatters? At some point, we're going to have to find the rights that will bring us together. We're going to have to find the goals that will galvanize us. So, if we're talking about saving our democracy, democracy requires unity. Unity relies on oneness. Oneness happens with cooperation. Cooperation demands agreement. Agreement comes from single-mindedness. The reason contracts happen, covenants happen, treaties, pacts happen is because somehow or another people set aside their idiosyncrasies, our individuality, our individual demands in some sort of negotiation process and say, but this is important. We can talk all of these things we want, but I teach people when I give this speak, this is what I tell them. You can talk about your rights. You can talk about equality. We can beat down the door with reconciliation. But if there's no United States of America, none of it matters. So we have to prioritize what should be protected. And so all of this leads to one final effect: rampant disappointment. People are disappointed. We're disappointed in life. Disappointment is where we start. What broke your heart? What broke your soul? What happened when you were a kid that made you so disappointed and so jaded you decided to just coast through life? Not even on cruise, just coast. Most of it, not even coast, maybe drift. So what's a soul? Your soul is the middle you that connects the rest of you to this world. So the spirit has to be regulated by your soul. Now, I know you've taught in many psychological circles, they tell you your soul is this spot in your brain. It's not. Your soul is an entire entity that engineers and directs your body. Everything that you're living today, I want you to think about this. I'm about to say something very profound. Everything you live in today is what you programmed. What you couldn't anticipate were the effects, the consequences, or outcomes. See, you are not in control of it. It's nice to say I got rights, but do you have a picture of the outcome? All of it hinging on the will. We will not get into that today. So about the soul, identity, the key to your destiny. Your soul's power is in your identity. Your identity is constructed by what you identify with and why. I identify with this and I identify with that. And we're in an era where identity is being fragmented like crazy. And it is all focusing on your external self. It's all focusing on your outer self. I like my hair short. I should be able to wear what I want. I should be able to do. But nothing is telling your soul how to conform to the rules of success. Because I'm going to tell you something. When you find your identity, nobody can move it. They can't change your identity because you found yourself. And when you find your identity, you don't care what the trends are. I don't care what I'm on point. I'm in purpose. I'm moving forward. Okay, so identity to keep your destiny. What does that mean? These are the four destiny effective views. History, your view of your past. Identity, your view of yourself. Direction, your view of your purpose. Drive, your view of your path. These all map out your life's course. I don't want to run over, so I just want to get to two more things. Are you timing? Halfway? Okay, thank you.
You want me to warn you?
Yeah. Yes, you can warn me. So when you think about your identity, how how you look at your past, how you see yourself, that you feel is the reason for you being on the planet, what you should pursue. And then, lastly, your path. A lot of you all choose pathways that will not bring you to your destiny. Now, how important is destiny? Your destiny is genetic. Your genes are comprised of your destiny. So, Dr. Price, how is that? Because of your talents. Your talents only are literally, they're only formed for you to do what you're supposed to end up doing for the rest of your days. So you can say, I want to be an airline pilot, and you hate math. You realize that's not going to work. All right? You can say, I want to be an athlete. I mean, most of us are African-American young men. I want to be an athlete. But you break your arm or something every time you get out there. I'm thinking you probably aren't called for that. So the most important thing, remember, table talk, stoop talk. The most important thing we can do is identify what talents were given to you, because if you don't utilize the talent you have, then you're always borrowing someone else. So that's second and third generation. You know, second generation recording is not as good as that first. So you spend your life, the reason you people end up dropping out of life, the reason you drop out of life, the reason you give up on life, the reason you drug yourself out of life, you want to numb yourself through it, is because nobody tapped into the treasures in you. And every soul is rich with treasures. So you need somebody to do treasure hunting and talent mining. We need to mine your talent. So when I develop people, we don't start at, that's right, life should have treated you better. I'm like, well, how did you treat life? Because remember, this particular thing is taking us to our responsibility. As long as you love being a victim, you'll never be a victim. And victimhood has a payoff. So we have this one of those payoffs. What's the payback for you blaming? What's the payback? What's the, well, I don't have the time to get in there. Okay. I don't have time. You know, I said, I don't even know who thought they could give me 50 minutes. I wasn't even, I couldn't even relate to it. It took me 50 minutes to make you do it. Okay, listen. So what do? We want to do something with this democracy. We must change the game. And we, as African Americans, we haven't changed the game for 200 years. We haven't. Because we want to be the victim. Because it's easy. You know, you can fuss about Caucasians all day long. See, I told you, but success is what? Say it again. What is success? Success is not a racist, and it has no favorites. It only has rules. You play by its rules, you're going to win. Amen. Now, you might have a little oppression because, you know, to me, I've told my clients, your trials in life, flipped in reverse, disclose your destiny. So if you're tried in friendships, trust me, your destiny has to do with relationships. If you're tried in money, then your destiny has to do with wealth. If you're tried in property, then that is who you are. So you crying about what is revealing you. Come on. So you have to start looking at your difficulties. See, we don't like difficulties because we got a whole bunch of stories that told us how difficult it is to be black. It was difficult for them to be black, not you.
That was worth the ticket right there. That was worth the ticket price right there.
See, you're buying somebody else's experience.
That's right.
Which is why we need to change the game. Now we have to figure out how to maintain the progress we gained as black people.
That's right.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm sitting in a 5-star hotel. Please. I'm sitting in a 5-star hotel. I live in almost a cute little mini match. I want you to know I drive a late model car. Now, they weren't even giving us our horse and mule thing. We didn't even get that. They didn't get the mule. But I got, okay, game changer. going to go to some 5-star restaurant and eat with them. And I'm going through the front door. And something cute and pretty and light is going to seat me. Game changer. Change your conditioning and you'll change your condition. So we need to change the game. I'm almost done. Yeah, I am. But it's the truth. We're living in the past. And we're disparaging and despising our present, which means we're killing our future. So your kids are going to be the same way you are, sitting on the stoop, talking trash. The people who are in those areas, let me tell you, they're only there for 2 reasons. Some of them like it because they don't want to work hard in life. They like comfort. And others just need to be guided out. Come on. Let me tell you another thing. Can I tell you one more thing since I'm already here? I'm almost done. But let me tell you. Here's the reason why most of the people who are struggling today as African Americans are struggling, because you don't want to be bushy. I don't want them to talk about me like I left my neighborhood. Let me tell you, I lived in a neighborhood where the roaches had to be put in shopping bags. And the mouse watched television with you. And I mean, literally, they came out and watched TV. But I want you to understand, there's no way I want to go back to that. I don't cherish that. I think the triumph, we're going to have to start talking our triumph, talking our victory. And listen, can I say this? We're going to have to honor the prayers of our ancestors and predecessors. A lot of people prayed for me to sit here today. A lot of people gave their lives to sit here, for me to sit right here. Not for you to tear it up, but to build it up. So you understand, things don't change until you change the game.
Change the game.
So in order to change the game, guess what you have to do first? Change the change agents.
That's right.
We're still running on the same change agents. Some of them are running on their kids. But they're still carrying a legacy that is not true. Remember, the soul needs truth to be free. Come on, man. So you cannot act like you cannot buy a ticket and take your whole family to Disney World. Come on. After you ride. After you ride, you get in your high car and you go buy a ticket and you go take your whole family to Disney World or some Caribbean place to ship and you act like things haven't changed. That is duplicitous. I'm almost done, guys. Yes. I'm almost done. So here's my proposal. Activity game changer. My proposal, go from activism to ambassadorship.
Come on now.
We need to understand that destruction is terminal. Diplomacy is long lasting.
Come on now.
See, what bothers me about my folks is that we bow out of solutions by rioting and protesting. So that keeps us out of solutions. And why do we do that? Because we've never been taught to think. We've never been taught to negotiate. We've never been taught to arbitrate. We need to give you the skills that everybody else is using to have their way.
Come on now.
So we need to go from activism to ambassadorship. So now what happens? Activists need centers. But ambassadors need embassies. What if we split that center? Have half activism, you don't give up there. Because the activist is the alarm. They sound the alarm. Yeah. But the ambassador prevents war. Can we do that? What if we did that? I'm looking at you young men back there, if I can make a point. Wouldn't you love to sit at the table and know you can control with your mind and your thoughts the future of your people?
Come on, man.
Would you like to do that? That's what we need to do. We need to stop letting you control with your rage. People, let me tell you something. Those rages, Ferguson and all of that, George Soros bust people in. to do that. Because they can count on us to tear it up and they can get us out of the process because we having fun. Now tomorrow we can't feed our kids. I'm almost done. I promise you I'm done. Come on. So if we change the game, then we can heal civilian damage. You want people to engage in a civilian duty or responsibility or civil duty and responsibility when you have trivialized them. See, most times we don't get involved because we're getting them back. It's retaliatory. You didn't care when my son went to jail. You didn't care when my kid was killed. You didn't care. Nobody cared about all of that. And if we want to get them in this place.
Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast with Dr. Paula Price. To learn more about Dr. Price, her events, products, assessments, the Success Center advisements, Taking It On with Paula Price television show, and booking and spiritual advocacy, visit www.drpaulaaprice.com today. For more information about Price University, visit www.priceuniversity.org. You can also subscribe to Dr. Price's channel on YouTube called God's Royal Network. That's right, God's Royal Network. And you can stay connected to a host and a variety of television shows that are scripturally organic and culturally unmodified. Subscribe there and also like Dr. Price's page right here on Facebook.